Hello, I'm Linda, and this is No Frills ASMR. Sorry, I was pulling my chair up while I was talking there. So, today we have a special guest. This guitar, no, I'm just kidding. A special guest, Greg. You can know him, you love him. He's back with a guitar.
Hello.
So, I don't really know what's happening today. You just said, hey, let's go talk. I said, okay.
Well, today I thought we'd take a close look at this vintage guitar. This is not a reissue. This is an original from 1958. It's a Gretsch Double Anniversary in the really cool color combo of two-tone smoke green. And I thought today we'd talk a little Gretsch guitar history, but mainly focusing on the early history of their very successful anniversary model. I have a collection of 1950s Gretsch guitars, so if anyone's interested and you want to see more, you can check out my Instagram page at Bonfire Surf.
Well, and maybe eventually, as time goes by, you'll show more of them.
Yeah.
On here. All right, well, I'm interested. Tell us about it.
So, Gretsch was founded in 1883 by Frederick Gretsch in Brooklyn, New York.
Well, that's earlier than I would have suspected.
Yeah, he was a German immigrant, and he founded it in 1883, focusing on making banjos, drums, tambourines. But they started shifting more and more toward guitar production. It was in 1927, Gretsch had their first Gretsch branded guitar. It came out in 1927. But in the 1930s and 40s, they were moving more and more toward guitar production. And then in the early 50s, they were definitely moving more toward electric guitars. And then, of course, in the mid 50s and late 50s, with rock and roll, and you've got that music coming out, more of an interest and a demand for guitars.
Have you ever seen one from like the 30s or 40s?
Gretsch?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're a little more primitive looking.
Like not just like brown wood, whatever.
Yeah,
like acoustic.
They're older style guitars.
I'm not sure if I've ever seen one like. I mean, I probably have. I just don't remember.
Yeah.
All right.
Gretsch, they really started designing and building the coolest guitars probably around 1953, 54 is when they really started going. And one of the other videos we did, we were focusing on a 1955 Gretsch Country Club.
Mm-hmm.
So check out that video.
Mm-hmm.
That one was cool.
And I think I did one before that too on Tennessee.
That was a 1976 Tennessean.
Yeah. So we have a few Gretsch videos.
Yeah. I wanted to, we mentioned in the other video about archtop guitars. Mm-hmm. And this is considered an archtop guitar because it's not a flat top. The top is arched.
It's hard to see probably from their point of view, but It kind of goes like not concave, but
if you look at the guitar from the side, it has an arched top and an arched bottom. Mm-hmm. And you asked me in that video, like, why is it arched? And I was like fumbling through an answer, and I was like, So I had to rethink that. But
correction, is this correction corner?
No, not just expanding upon.
Okay.
I said that archtop guitars they're a little bit wider and bigger inside, so they project more sound. Mm-hmm. Well, that is true, but the main reason for the design is having an arch top adds strength and stability to the guitar.
Sure.
So it allows builders to use thin wood without collapsing under the string tension, the downward.
That makes sense.
Pressure of the strings.
And I feel like we kind of learned that when we went on the Martin Guitar Factory tour. They kind of showed how they build things up like that to create more strength.
Right.
I think I remember that. Anyway.
an archtop, it responds differently to vibrations than a flat top guitar, so it affects the tone. It has more of a focused tone with note separation. Basically, that means when you strum the strings, each note is kind of clearly defined, as opposed to the notes sounding mushy and running together. So that, and then because of the design and being stronger because of the arch top, the inside has to have less bracing, like on the top and the bottom. So there's less internal bracing. So it allows the top and bottom to vibrate more freely. So that's sort of the thing behind the arch top guitar.
A side note, if you're curious to hear, I don't think you have a video of playing this particular guitar, but you play some other Gretsch guitars
I think you might have done a short with this one, maybe. I don't remember.
on the Instagram.
Oh, on your channel.
Oh, I do? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So, but also on your Insta, but you also have a YouTube where there are a few videos posted.
Same ones that are on Instagram, right?
But those ones you're playing, so
A
anyway.
little bit, yeah. So, the anniversary model. So, in 1958, this is Gretsch's 75th anniversary. 1883 to 1958 is 75 years. So, you would think...
I never thought about why it was called Anniversary. That's so funny.
Oh,
I don't know why. I just knew it was the name forever. Anyway,
that's where the name come from, anniversary,
makes
right?
sense.
Celebrating their 75th anniversary.
Yeah.
Now, you would think that Gretsch would come up with a fancy model,
Right.
like real high end with all sort of fancy stuff,
Gold.
and fancy trim,
Yeah.
and something. But no, they didn't. Their idea was to celebrate with a collection of mid-range, mid-priced, affordable models.
Okay.
And so they came up with the anniversary model. Their flagship model was the Chet Atkins signature model, 6120.
Cool guitar.
Yeah, and this one was more affordable than the 6120.
Yeah.
And part of the reason was to, target, new players. So one interesting thing about the anniversary model is it's believed that it was only meant to be a one-year thing. They're going to make them for 1 year, probably stop making them, move on to something else.
Which would make sense if you're calling it your anniversary.
Right.
Yeah.
However, what happened was it became extremely successful.
Sure.
Because they were cool.
Yeah.
Cool looking, and they were affordable. They were reasonably priced,
Right.
and that was a big thing.
Sure.
So then they became a regular catalog model all the way through the early 70s.
I remember when we were first dating and you had some guitar books, and I remember you showing me either this or the single, I don't know which it was, but this green guitar, I just remember, and you were like, that's the guitar I want. I think at the time Brian Setzer was playing one like this, and you were like, that's a sweet, sweet guitar. I hope someday.
He played the orange Chet Atkins
No,
6120.
I thought he had one of these, though.
He's got a lot of guitars, I know that, but I don't think I've ever seen him.
Well,
with
anyway,
one of
this
these.
was the one I remember you wanting, and I was always like, someday.
Well, green is like my favorite color,
Yes.
and because this is a green guitar.
And this particular shades of green, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've always, since I was a teenager, I've always wanted one of these,
Yeah.
and finally ended up getting one just 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So anyway, this one here is 1958, and this is the very first year
Yeah.
model of the anniversary. And they had a single pickup version, only one pickup.
So it would have this pickup or this pickup?
It would have this one. This
This
is the neck pickup. So
Okay.
the single version had the neck pickup only.
And not this, right?
Right.
This
And
is the pickup right here with.
these are the two pickups. They came out with a single version and a double one. The single version they just called Anniversary, and then the two they called the Double Anniversary.
Are you gonna get in like one sentence? What does a pickup do?
This is
and why do you need to, or is that something you are already?
The pickup is what takes the vibration of the string and converts it to an electrical signal
So
that you can plug in.
without these, you're just playing acoustic guitar.
Right.
Okay, so that makes it sort of electric.
It makes an electric because the vibration of the string has to be electrified into an amp, and that's what these do.
So why would you need to?
There's two because depending on the position of the pickup, it has a different sound. And this here is your pickup selector switch. And there's 3 settings here. So like this would be the neck pickup. The middle position would be both pickups. And this position would be called the bridge position. And each one, you got 3 different sounds. And it changes the sound. So it's kind of like when you pluck a string, it changes where you pluck it. It changes, It changes the noise depending on where you pluck it. But depending on the location of the pickups, that's the reason for the 2 pickups. These pickups are called Filtertron pickups. Very famous Gretsch pickups. But I'll get into more detail on those later. So they came out with the anniversary model in 1958, and they came out with it came out in 2 finishes. A traditional sunburst finish and the totally cool green finish. And it's officially called two-tone smoke green.
I don't know if from the point of view we have the camera, they can see the side, but it is the color of this pick guard is basically the color that it is all along the side here. I wish I could. I don't want to move it really because we have it kind of
right. What's cool about this, right? The top is this light green. The sides and the back of the neck are all this darker green color. So it's a two-tone.
And it's like that thick, so you can definitely see it when people are playing it. It looks cool.
Yeah. I mean, let's see if I can just tip it.
Yeah, I know. We have it sort of there we go. So you can see how much like darker the rest of it is. Oop. See, I was worried about that. Yeah.
This is in great condition.
Cool. Oh, yeah.
For 1958. Kind of tough to spin around because we are limited on our space here.
Yeah, we did good. Okay.
So, let's see here. I have. I'm banging into stuff.
You are limited.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Here's the sunburst version, and here's the two-tone smoke green. The sunburst, as you can see, has the pickguard was gold with black logo.
Yep.
And the green one had a green pickguard with a green logo.
So this is a single because it has one, and this is a double because it has
that's the double, right?
Except they don't call it single because that would have just been. Or do people now say single?
People refer to it as the single anniversary.
But originally it would have just been anniversary, double anniversary.
Right. If you look in the catalog, it just says anniversary model.
Sure.
And then the double anniversary. Gretsch didn't officially call it a single, but that's what people commonly refer to it as. They had different model numbers. So the 6124 and the 6125 were both the single pickup sunburst smoke green. And then the double anniversary came in 6117, 6118, which is the double sunburst and double smoke green.
Gotcha.
So this one here is the same as this one here, which is a model 6118. Right. Double smoke green and the double pickup.
It's funny, this one they're calling a 6124.
That's right. 6124 and 6125. So those were the singles.
Oh, I thought you said, okay.
The 6124
I was,
is Sunburst. 6125 is the two-tone smoke green.
okay.
And then the 6117 would be the Sunburst version of that one.
Right.
While we have this page out, I just wanted to show you that the headstock here is a chrome covered. It's a copper plaque on the headstock,
Mm-hmm.
and it says anniversary model, and has a diamond on it.
Mm-hmm.
Diamond's for 75 years, isn't it?
I don't know.
Diamond anniversary? Is that 75 years?
Sure.
It's got a diamond on it. I always thought
Absolutely. Sounds right to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, when we look at these early anniversary models, the most, I will talk a little bit more about, they changed pickups in 1960. They went from Filtertron pickups to these Hylotron pickups.
Mm-hmm.
But during the first 2 years, 58, 59, they had the very desirable Filtertron pickups.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at the very early anniversary models, the most desirable ones have two pickups, and the Filtertron pickups 58, 59, and the green one is the most desirable because it's just cool. Because Sunburst is, more traditional, and there were lots of guitars made with Sunburst. So this one, the 58, 59 with the Filtertron pickups, green, two of them, that's the most. If you're going to buy one, that's the one to get.
And you would say a double over a single.
Yeah,
But
it's tough because, a lot of players, you're limited with a single pickup. You don't have as many, things you can do with your sound, changing it. So, when a lot of players are looking at old anniversary models, they really would prefer the double. But what a lot of players have done is they buy these old single pickups and they convert them to two pickups.
sure.
Which all you have to do is cut a hole here and add a second pickup. You have to add a pickup selector switch.
Oh, yeah.
This is the master volume for both pickups,
Yeah.
and this is a individual volume for each pickup.
Right.
This is just called the mud switch. It's basically, it rolls off the highs. So in the middle position, no tone roll off. You switch it one, has a certain amount of tone roll off. Sounds a little more like a muddy jazz guitar. And then the other one is a different amount of roll off. It's referred to as a mud switch because it makes your guitar sound like mud. It's not used very often. Players don't typically like it. What you can do is you can change the values of those roll-offs with a new...
I could see that in jazz, though. You know how you hear that jazz where it's like... It makes me think of when they take a trumpet and they put the... What do they call that? Not a wah-wah. Anyway, and it kind of mutes the sound of it. Is that kind of what that does? I don't know.
Well, it's like taking the tone knob and turning like on an amp, like you have a high tone. It takes the highs off, is what it does.
Okay, well.
It takes the highs off. But they're set values. Mm-hmm. See, the earlier Gretsches in 1950, this came out in 1958. So the earlier ones in 1957, they had down here that tone knob.
Right.
So you could adjust the tone up and down, which I prefer a whole lot more.
Sure, yeah.
And I don't think this was a great idea.
Right.
Because it's kind of useless. It's like throwing a wet blanket over your amp.
Right, okay. And you could do it from your amp anyway, if you want it, right?
That's true. That's true, right. So this guitar was built on the same body specifications as the Chet Atkins 6120 model, which was like their flagship model. Same dimensions. It's a 16-inch wide guitar, in their catalog, it's technically, it only measures 15.5 inches, but it's called a 16-inch wide arch top. And the body's nice and thick. It's 2 3/4 inches wide.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very close to the famous Chet Atkins model. Now this one came with a G cutout tailpiece for Gretsch. So all their non-Bigsby guitars came this way. The Chet Atkins model had a Bigsby, which is a lot of people associate that with Gretsch guitars. And people will take these off and they'll add a Bigsby, which is
What we're talking about.
It's got the whammy bar on it, and it when you push it up and down, it changes the tension of the strings and it makes a different sound. So it's called a Bigsby vibrato. And the Chet Atkins 6120 came with that. Mm-hmm. These never came with it, and but a lot of people have modified it and added that. Mm-hmm. Now there were some of these anniversary models that came out with factory Bigsbys, and they were probably a special order. Mm-hmm. But you can tell if it's a factory Bigsby by the screw holes in the body, because this here has 3 screws holding this tailpiece on. Mm-hmm. If you take it off and you add a Bigsby, you have to re-drill the holes because the holes don't line up.
Right.
So if you have a Bigsby on here and you take it off and there's only 3 holes for the Bigsby and there's no other holes, you know that was an original factory Bigsby, and there was never a G cutout tailpiece on there.
Interesting.
So what's interesting about this these early 58s is the fretboard is ebony. And ebony is a super nice wood. Very dark, very close grain. It's a very hard wood. And so it's a very high end. So this is ebony.
Mm. So you're talking about, see, this is the fretboard, the brown, for anyone who doesn't know. And these are the frets going across this way. And the frets are what make the string hits it, and then you're kind of making a note from that point on. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But anyway, that's basic just for anyone who's watching who doesn't know guitars.
So one key thing about the 1958 version has an ebony fretboard, has 22 frets. The 58s have 22 frets.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
You got to count all the way up.
22, absolutely
22
correct.
frets, right.
Yes.
To make it a little bit less expensive, the F-holes here are unbound.
I noticed that. Yeah.
There's no binding on here. There's no binding on the fretboard. And there's no binding around the headstock.
But
that makes it a little less expensive to make in the factory, because adding binding to all that is labor intensive and it just costs more. So that's a little thing that makes it a little bit less expensive.
Mm. Interesting. I think the other one we showed had binding all in here.
The 55 Country Club was a fancy guitar.
Yeah.
It had layers of binding, multiple layers on the side, and everything else had binding. That's typically how you can tell like an inexpensive guitar from a more fancy one.
Right.
The binding gets more and more fancy. So it's kind of cool. This guitar came with this bridge, which is called a space control bridge. And Gretsch introduced this in 1958. And it was made in-house. And what's a little bit different about this bridge is these little rollers here, these are rollers.
Okay.
So if I take the string off and I turn this roller, there's a bar in there with threads.
I see that, yeah. Almost like a, a screw or nut, a bolt. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah.
It has threads. So when you turn these saddles, it moves them this way.
Okay.
Space control. So you can control the spacing of the strings.
Ah.
You can make them a little bit closer together if you want, a little bit further away. And then these big thumb wheels raise the bridge up and down so you can adjust the height of the strings.
Ah, gotcha.
So here is a original Gretsch catalog from 1958.
The Fred Gretsch Manufacturing Company. And on the cover we have a white falcon.
Which was their fanciest.
Fanciest. It's all gold plate. It was white. It was fancy. It still is. Sparkle. It's got it all.
So this is a catalog from 1958. We go back here. Here is that's the single anniversary two-tone smoke green.
And we can tell it's single because it only has one pickup and doesn't have a pickup here.
You should read this.
This part?
Yeah.
This popular new beauty is the sports car of the Gretsch line. Snappy, trim modern lines, exclusive built-in playing features that help give you the sound of distinction. A real knockout in two-tone smoke green. And then it says Gretsch Anniversary electric guitar in smoke green, single pickup for $198. Single pickup, cutaway in smoke green. So $198 compared to this country club was $440.
Yeah.
So it was like half the price.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Right.
Oh, did you have to buy the case separately?
Yes. Interesting. Gretsch guitars did not come with cases.
Wow.
So when you went to the music store to buy a guitar, you'd buy the guitar, and then you'd pick out a case that they had in stock.
Oh, that's interesting. And the case is $50. They're not cheap.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. I mentioned the Chet Atkins 6120 model.
Mm-hmm. See, now this one,
Yeah.
like Greg was saying, has the Bixby. And see how different that is. And then it has this bar that you use to bend the strings and make it kind of have that twangy sound.
This one, yeah, stained orange, has a lot more binding on it. And here,
There was Mary Osborne.
here's the anniversary model in the single and the double version in
Sunburst.
Sunburst.
So those were $198. How much was it? Was it also $198? Same cost, same price.
Yeah, I think they had the finishes were the same. The price difference was between the single and the double pickup.
Gretsch features of the future make this and the other new anniversary models stand out buys for the discerning guitarist. Distinctly modern styling of this trim 16-inch cutaway body includes exclusive neoclassic fingerboard, Gretsch adjustable rod, action flow neck, built-in Filtertron electronic heads give you pure, rich Gretsch guitar sound at all times, space control bridge, chrome-plated metal parts, and black leather shoulder strap. Where's your black leather shoulder strap?
I don't know. Did come with one. It's interesting that Gretsch back in the 50s and 60s, they sold all their guitars with straps.
Huh, interesting.
And very rarely do you see a used guitar, vintage one, with its original strap.
Right.
Yeah, they get
Must have
lost.
fallen apart.
They get lost. They fall apart. Different reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
People just change them out for something else.
Right. I admit it looks kind of like a pretty thin strap here.
Right.
It doesn't look super.
I will say, jumping ahead just slightly, in the early 60s, I think 61 or 62, Gretsch came out with this stereo version.
Oh.
And this page here talks about the stereo guitar. This is the Country Club. But the anniversary model did have briefly, it was short-lived, and they came out with a stereo. So
Stereo. So you could.
the pickups were sort of split between the bass and the treble side.
Oh.
And you'd plug it into two different amps. So you have your bass coming out of one amp and your treble coming out of the other on different sides of the stage, and it had a stereo effect. It was really sort of gimmicky, and it didn't catch on, kind of like 3D movies.
Well, and Gretsch knows you have to buy 2 amps if you do this. They're making money.
Yeah.
It was called Project O Sonic.
That's right.
And here, this guy's playing a White Falcon.
That's Jimmy Webster.
He
Jimmy Webster.
helped design it.
Jimmy Webster was a consultant for Gretsch.
Right.
He was a really good guitar player. He was a marketer, as a salesman, and he went around and sold Gretsch guitars and marketed them for them. He also had a lot of ideas. One of his ideas was the stereo.
Project O Sonic.
Right. He had a lot of ideas.
All right. Well, nothing wrong with that. They do say here, the gold plating is 24 karat gold.
Right.
Soft gold.
Those guitars that have the 24 karat gold, it's so thin that it wears off very easily.
Pretty cool.
So going back to the pickups, the anniversary model in 1958, they came out with the Filtertron pickups, and because the anniversary model was 1958, it of course always came with the Filtertron pickups. Before 1958, Gretsch used DeArmond Diasonic single coil pickups. They were made by Rowe Industries out of Toledo, Ohio, and they had a great, unique sound to them. But because they were single coil pickups, they would feed back a lot, and they would hum a lot, depending on what kind of electrical interference you had in the studio or live. So they would hum, and they came on the Chet Atkins version, and Chet Atkins was not a fan of the DeArmond pickups. He felt the magnets were too strong. And so they pulled too hard on the strings, and they would affect the sustain of the notes.
That's like a whole nother video. How these things work.
Yeah,
But
it
anyway,
is.
good.
Also, during the late or mid 50s, DeArmond started supplying other guitar manufacturers with the same pickup, and Gretsch didn't like that.
Right, sure.
Gretsch is like,
Every bass guitar is going to sound the same.
Exactly. So Chet Atkins knew this inventor, Ray Butts was his name. He was an inventor, and he made amps and things like that, and Chet Atkins knew him. So Chet Atkins and Ray Butts got together with Gretsch, and they worked together to develop the Filtertron pickups. And they were made in-house by Gretsch. And they're called humbucking pickups because they buck the hum. They have 2 coils in there that are opposite each other, and they cancel each other out. So Gretsch switched to the Filtertron pickups on all their guitars, and it's part of the great Gretsch sound. They're a very unique sound, and they... Another solution to this problem with the older style pickups was they had feedback, and you'd have sound would be reverberating inside this hollow body guitar, and the sound would feed back. So one of the solutions was, and this was, Chet Atkins sort of pushed on this, was you connect the top of the guitar to the bottom of the guitar to reduce the vibration, because we're getting away from acoustic archtop guitars. We're getting more toward electric, so you don't need the guitar to vibrate so much and produce sound out of the holes. So what they did was they made this internal structure called trestle bracing, and they called it trestle bracing because it looks just like a train trestle, and it runs. There's these bars that run inside from up here all the way down here. There's 2 bars on each side that run inside, and there's a little trestle bracing that attaches the top to the back of the guitar and prevents all the vibration, which prevents feedback. The trestle bracing also was useful because you had to mount these pickups to something. So these pickups are actually mounted to the trestle bracing inside.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So if I look in here with a flashlight, I could see that, and it would be like 3-dimensional, like that, right? That
Yeah,
way.
you could probably look in there and probably see it.
Yeah, I can.
The older pickups, the Diarman diastonic pickups, they attached right to the top of the guitar. So they didn't need any bracing inside to hold them. So Gretsch, once those came out, they switched to the Filtertron pickups on all their guitars. So another thing interesting about guitars that came out in 1958 are these fretboard markers. This was an idea of Jimmy Webster. These are called, well, Gretsch called them neoclassical fretboard markers. They're commonly referred to by people as thumbnail markers.
Right.
Because they look like a thumbnail.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes they're referred to as half moon markers.
Sure.
But they came out in 58, and they're really a very distinct marker for fret guitars. Really, Gretsch is the only company that made fretboard markers that look like this.
Interesting.
You might see a guitar out there that's not a Gretsch guitar that has these markers, but they're basically just copying Gretsch. So once they came out with those, this became sort of a signature. Because before this, your fretboard markers were like big rectangles, or the ones that look like the humpback markers.
Right. So I don't know if people are watching who don't play guitar or know guitar, but do these help the player to know where to put their fingers, or are they just for looks?
Well, here's the thing.
I mean, I know when I'm learning, they help me because I don't know what I'm doing.
I've always kind of wondered, because when you're holding the guitar in a playing position,
Yeah.
you're just looking at sort of the top of the side of the neck up here,
Right.
and they have little dots up here.
Yeah.
That marks the frets, and that's what I use, and that's what I see. You know, when you have the fretboard markers over here, you don't really see them.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what they're there for, but I don't know how you can really.
People probably don't use them very much. Yeah, they're. You're saying that, like right here, there's a thing on the neck that we can't see.
Well, a lot of guitars have a dot over there, but these ones you can actually see.
Oh, okay.
So see here, these are the earlier fretboard markers. They're rectangles.
Yeah, they're big.
They had these, yeah. And then in 1957, they came out with these hump block markers, which I like and are really cool.
Yeah.
The 55 Country Club that we showed has those.
And these are like mother of pearl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they went to these.
Yep.
Ooh, we are. Anyway, yeah, so those are cool. So, moving ahead, 1959, like I said, Gretsch, it's believed that Gretsch was only going to have the anniversary model for 1 year, 1958, and they could probably discontinue it.
Right.
But because of the success, they decided to continue the model.
Right.
So in 1959, that's when they started making changes. This guitar here, this particular model, no changes. This is the first year, no changes. So the very first change they made in early 59 is they went from 22 frets down to 21 frets.
Okay.
So if you see one, it looks just like this with only 21 frets.
What fret do they take off? This one?
That one, yeah.
Okay.
That's a 59, 21 frets.
Huh.
Then in like mid to late 59, they changed this ebony fretboard to rosewood.
Oh, okay.
Now, rosewood is still a good wood for fretboards, and a lot of guitars are made with rosewood.
If you're just like in a shop and look at it, can you see that? Can you see that from like? Could you go, that's rosewood, that's ebony, or is it pretty, visually the same?
Well, ebony is almost jet black,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't see any grain on there because it's so tightly.
Mm. So you can see the grain on rosewood, but don't they still like stain it a dark color, right?
Well, it's a dark brown.
Yeah.
Now, some new guitars actually have what's called ebonized rosewood,
Okay.
which they basically just take rosewood and they stain it so dark that it looks like ebony.
Can't see the color.
Right. So they changed to rosewood, and back in the 50s and 60s when they used rosewood, it was Brazilian rosewood, but they banned Brazilian rosewood because of over-harvesting.
Sure.
And they switched to East Indian rosewood in the 1970s.
Right.
And even today, I think they use another type of rosewood. It's all still good wood, but...
Yeah.
Also in 1959, this body, all their guitars, they started getting thinner bodies. So on this guitar is 2 3/4 inches thick on the sides. And in 59, they went down to 2.5 inches.
Because they realized they don't need all that acoustic kind of thing. Is that why, or was it just in style because of Fender's using sort of a solid piece to have
I think
thinner?
it's both of those.
Okay.
I think it was just a change,
Yeah.
and also you don't need the big hollow body because you're not really. It's moving more toward an electric guitar, so the
Right.
body's got thinner and thinner.
Right.
And Gibson was doing that with their guitars. So
Do they sound? Have you played both? Do they sound different?
acoustically or electric?
Both, I guess.
Electric, I don't think you can tell a difference.
Yeah.
Acoustically, you might be able to tell
Yeah.
a little bit difference. Also, in 1959, the trestle bracing I was talking about inside, they went slightly modified it. It was called lighter trestle bracing. And basically what it means is the trestle was sitting on this bar, wooden bar that went all the way across the back of the guitar. And they took that bar out and they just had the trestle bracing sitting on little blocks. So they modified it from what's referred to as heavy trestle bracing to lighter trestle bracing. A slight modification. It made the guitar slightly less heavy, and a lot of players feel like the guitar had more resonance and it just played.
Resonance.
What did I say?
Resonance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
You know.
I know what you mean.
You know what I meant. So a lot of guitars, especially Gretsch guitars in the early 60s, they went to that double cutaway where this side looks just
so
like
this side's called a single cutaway. But if you have this same style on both sides, that's a double cutaway.
Right. The Anniversary model never got the double cutaway.
Oh, interesting.
It always stayed.
And there's
As
a
a single
purpose. There's a purpose for that. So when you're playing, your hand can go down further. But most guitar players don't feel like they really need a double cutaway for function.
Right. So if I'm playing this guitar, you see, as my hand moves up the fretboard.
Yeah. And there are guitars that don't have a single cutaway. They're just like that.
Correct. But having this cutaway here, your fingers can easily reach these higher frets without the body of the guitar being in the way.
Right.
So once this kind of became standard, a lot of guitars had that.
Oh, if you got used to playing that, it would probably be hard to go back to.
I guess it depends on how far up the neck you play. Yeah. And then the double cutaway was just purely for aesthetic views. That was one thing that Jimmy Webster was doing. He was taking a lot of his ideas from the auto industry. And the auto industry every year was coming out with new models, and they would change them.
Sure.
And they would change them just to be changing them. So even though they've got like a really cool design guitar, you can't keep offering the same model with the same features every year.
Right.
You have to start making changes. And a lot of those changes are just changes to be making changes.
Sure.
So people would go into the music store and go, oh,
I want the newest model.
That's the newest model,
Sure.
right.
Yeah.
And I feel like Gretsch was designing and building their coolest guitars in like the mid-50s, into the late 50s. I think like 1959 into 1960 was their peak evolution. I think after that, when you get into the early 60s and throughout the 60s, they were making changes just to make changes. And I think aesthetically, they just weren't as good as the ones in the 50s. Personally, that's
I was
the way.
going to say, that's your style, though. That's
That-
your thing.
That's true.
Sure.
But, you know,
Yeah.
they had to make changes.
Yeah.
So in 1960, Gretsch came out with another pickup. It was called the Hylotron. And so in 1960, the Hylotron replaced the Filtertrons on the Anniversary model.
Okay, so we've gone from the day
The Diasonic
and then
Diarm.
to...
Well, first off, the Diarm Diasonics were never on the Anniversary model.
Oh.
There were other guitars
Yes.
in 1957.
Okay.
Because when this came out in 58, they'd already have the Filtertrons.
Right,
So they had
okay.
this for the first 2 years, 58, 59. In 1960, they switched to another pickup for the Anniversary model. So their mid-range guitars and lower-end guitars went to called the Hylotron pickup. And it was a single coil pickup with a lower output. And it was known for a bright, clear tone. They do have their own unique sound, and a lot of players really love them.
Yeah.
But those pickups are sort of unfairly compared to the more powerful Filtertron pickups. So many people kind of consider it sort of a downgrade,
Sure.
and they really
They're different, right?
they're different. They're different, and people feel like these ones were the
But
Gretsch.
you would consider it a downgrade.
They're just different. They're just different. I mean, the more desirable pickup is this one. So all their high-end guitars kept the Filtertron pickups. It was the Anniversary model went down to the Hylotrons. And because the Hylotrons didn't need to be fastened to any bracing, they took the internal trestle bracing out.
Oh, okay.
Now, do those guitars feed back? Like, I don't even know. Take out the trestle bracing and
But I assume now the whole guitar is so much lighter because you've gone thinner, you've taken out the trestle. So it's probably much more lightweight if you're playing a long time, right? Or no?
what? Yeah, I mean, it's the body's thinner, the trestle bracing out, so it is a lightweight. But does it affect feedback? I don't know the answer to that question. So then in the early 60s, in 1961, the body gets even thinner. It gets down to like 2.5 inches now.
Right.
And that's also when Gretsch experimented with the stereo versions.
Okay, yeah.
But the stereo versions were only around for about 1 year. They discontinued them in like 1962.
Have you ever played a stereo version?
No.
So you're saying the bass, so you're saying like these strings would be in one speaker and these strings would be in another speaker. Is that how that would work?
Right. You see these got these pole pieces here with magnets which pick up the sound.
Yeah.
These would be split. So you only have on half the pickup. You'd have
Yeah.
half over here and over here would be nothing, and then, so then these bass strings would go to 1 amp, and these treble strings would go to
That's interesting.
another. It's really kind of, like I say, it was got a gimmick.
Yeah,
It didn't really catch on.
Yeah.
A lot of players are like, I don't need this.
Yeah.
Like I said before, it's kind of like 3D movies. Kind of interesting, but there's only so much you can do with it.
Well, like that early Led Zeppelin stuff, it would come at you from different sides.
Right. Well, that's just in the studio. You
Yeah,
can do
right.
that. Yeah.
You don't need the guitar.
No, I don't think so.
Sure.
Around 1961, it's interesting, the Double Anniversary received fretboard binding.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting.
Wonder why.
The single Anniversary never received the fretboard binding. In the early 60s, they came out with actually another finish. It was called two-tone tan. And the top was a bamboo ivory top, and the sides were sort of a jaguar tan. That's what they called.
We've seen that somewhere. I remember seeing
Yeah, I don't think they made too many of
that.
them.
Yeah. I remember that. It looks yellow almost.
Yeah,
Kinda.
something like that.
Oh.
So, anyways, when we get into the mid '60s, there's few major changes. They do change the tuners up on the headstock. They changed to different type of tuners.
Those are what you use to tighten the strings and stuff. And sometimes they make them real fancy and
Right.
different styles.
Changed. It changes the tuning of each string. In 1966 is kind of interesting. Just for only 66, Gretsch came out with some different colors for their anniversary models. Not very many. It came out in all white, black, blue, and red.
What kind of blue? Navy blue? Probably more of a bright.
A little brighter than navy blue.
I think a navy blue guitar would be
Yeah, there are examples in those colors. White, black, blue, red. They didn't make very many of them, and it's really right around 1966. But the Anniversary basically was a budget-friendly model. And because it was a budget-friendly model and affordability, it still sold pretty well.
Yeah.
This cutout tailpiece slightly changes. This part right here has these a lot more like these little ribs on here. So if you ever see one with that, it's a mid '60s one. But today, Gretsch went out of business in the early '80s, but the family bought back the name in the late '80s, and they started building guitars again. So Gretsch makes guitars today, and today they're still making the Anniversary model today.
Right.
And they've got different colors, all different color schemes that they use. I believe they're all double anniversaries. I don't know if they make any singles because
But they make it in this color?
they do make a reissue.
Yeah.
What's interesting is they do make a reissue of this model, but they make the 1961 version, which has the Hylotron pickups. It's a double Hylotron pickup and a two-tone smoke green.
Oh, interesting.
It looks very similar. Yeah. So, sort of a little history of the Anniversary model, the early Anniversary model.
That was a deep dive. I couldn't even ask questions because you were deep. See, you guys see now why when when I used to do these and I'd say I spend an hour learning from my husband and then regurgitate it to you. It's hard. It's hard to remember everything. It's a lot of information.
Yeah.
But
this particular example is in really great shape. A couple of things. The top, when it's exposed to UV light, changes color.
yeah.
I don't think you can probably see here, but
You should have brought your little black light out.
I don't know if you can see that, but the color, the green color on top is not uniformed. It's slightly.
No, you can't tell.
It changes to a little lighter and darker green in areas, but I've seen some where the tops have just completely yellowed.
Greg has this little black light sometimes on these old guitars. You can see all kinds of things. It's pretty interesting.
You can see it has been repaired.
Someday we'll have to show that if you have one that has a good,
You can see
a little short.
Yeah. Well, actually, this one is interesting. Is you can't see any wear, but down here on the bottom, on the side, if you shine a black light on there, you can see that the clear coat finish on the top is worn. And I think that is because when you put the guitar on your lap, you're sitting on a
it
couch,
rubs,
your leg sits right there.
Yeah.
So you can see wear that way. Another thing is when they painted these guitars, they painted them a color, and then over the top they used nitro cellulose paint and also a finish. They put a clear coat over it. So usually it's not the paint color that changes, it's the clear coat. When the clear coat is exposed to UV light, it yellows and changes. And this guitar, you really can't see it, but a lot of these guitars, they get cracks in the...
Yeah, I can see a few really little ones.
it gets
here.
cracks in the clear coat.
Right.
And what causes that is specifically when you take a guitar from a cold environment into a warm environment, the finish will crack and get checking. It's very common for old guitars to have that. People will take the guitar somewhere in the wintertime. It's cold. They take it inside, open it up, the case, and all of a sudden the guitar is exposed to warm temperature. And what happens is that the paint and the finish do not shrink and expand at the same rate when exposed to heat.
Oh, no.
So they're warming up too quickly, and that causes cracks in the finish.
I mean, does it happen like you can see it cracking?
Sometimes.
No, that would be
Yes,
terrible.
right before your eyes.
No, it does.
It does.
Oh my God, you'd cry.
Yeah. It's very, today when they make new guitars, then they relic them
Yeah.
and make them look
yeah.
like old guitars.
Yeah, okay,
They
but
will copy that crazing and cracking of
yeah,
the
but
finish.
if that happened to your old guitar, you'd be like, no.
Yeah. A lot of these ones, the paint's wore off. This one is
When we've
great.
taken a guitar out in cold, or maybe it was in hot. I think it was hot. And we had to go in somewhere. You left the car running for the guitar.
I left the air conditioning running in the car, right?
I was like, our car could get stolen and the guitar.
No, it was locked up. Here's the thing, though. You leave a guitar in a hot car,
Yeah.
which can get to like over 100 degrees,
Yeah.
or more.
Sure.
It's not good for guitars because the glue starts to soften, and it really is bad.
Yeah.
Heat and humidity changes are really bad for vintage guitars. It's not so much, it's the quick changes is what really is the worst.
Yeah.
Slow, gradual changes are,
I wonder if you're a player and you live in a cold climate and you bring your guitar to a show. If it's in your car getting cold and then out walking to the venue getting cold.
Yep.
I wonder if you leave it in the case just for like 10 minutes to let it sort of have a mid warm up if that would help.
That's exactly what is recommended.
Is it? Okay.
You leave it in the case for a half an hour. You get there early, leave it in the case for a half an hour. You can crack the lid a little bit because you just want the guitar to heat up, to warm up slowly. If it warms up too fast, it can damage these old finishes.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
So, there we go.
Well, that was interesting for people who really want to know about Gretsch guitars.
Well,
I find it interesting.
some people have an interest in a lot of people. Vintage guitars, everybody's into Fender and Gibson and Gibsons.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And of course, they're more expensive.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I know people have asked us to do like Gibson and Fender, actually both of those, but yeah, we really are more Gretsch.
yeah. I just love them. I think they're cool. I love the designs that they did, and I think they're great. And
Well, and you like the whole hollow body style. That's more your style, I think. So.
yeah, I do. Yeah. I've got a few of them.
Well, thanks for showing us.
Sure.
I mean, at some point we have to have you make a short playing a little bit. I know you said there might already be one there, but
I got a couple videos of playing on the Instagram page, which are the same ones that are on YouTube, on my YouTube channel.
what's your YouTube channel?
Bonfire Surf. It's the same as Instagram.
I'll try to like, I can share it and then we can both be on the video, and so people can just click on it and see those. If between the two of us we can figure that out. Last time I don't know.
Right.
Well, thank you for showing us this beautiful guitar.
Okay.
It's very interesting. All right. Well, talk to you guys soon.